Hello techies. Welcome to our brand new video series focused on helping you get the most of your experiences in life. Before we start the video, let's know about Upptalk. Upptalk is a live, interactive platform for software training, furnishing robust personalities who could take on universal business platforms.
So the first and most important step in developing a custom report is to choose a data source. Because if you choose the right source of data, then you will be able to get the field set up. Part of it, isn't it? You will be able to get the data. Remember the example I was talking about, like where I asked you to give me some information. And you said that we will go and check it out from Google or maybe look at a book, etc. So the website that you are referring to, or the book that you are referring to, or whatever is your source of information. If that source has all the correct information, and it has a complete information, then it's easy for you. So you have to run around, refer to different sources to get the complete information. Isn't it? So choosing the right data source, it is paramount in creating a good custom report. Now that is why we recommend that you start with the work that delivered standard reports, because that already has the correct data source and everything right. If you start from there, it makes our job a little bit easier. Now it says that you should choose the data source that returns the smallest data set. That still includes all the needed data. Now what that is because of performance issues, right? Because of performance. If we choose a data source that already has the necessary information that you want, nothing else, then of course that is the best. Right, you should go forward with that. Now, before we explain this particular concept, let's try to understand how Workday stores its data. Workday does not use tables or databases as its packet. It uses something we call as business objects. It is equivalent to a database, but it is not equal to a database, right? Workday stores its data in terms of business objects. From the business objects, there will be some. Within the business objects, there are fields. Right. I can hire data to the field. First name is a field. Last name is the field. These are placeholders that contain some information. So within this business object, you will have instances of data. Right. Equivalent to a row in a database table, or a row in your Excel spreadsheet. Right. That is an instance of the data. So a worker like Logan McNeil is an instance in the business object worker. Right. The worker is a business object within that object. Logan McNeil is an instance of that particular object. Right. And that instance will have the data. Now we create something called as data source. Data source is based on the business object. Okay. All the fields in the business object are accessible by the data source. But what is the difference between a data source and the business object? The data source is a specified view of the business object. It already has some filter, etc. built into it. Okay. So as a result, if you query or if you look at the business object, if you and you will do that using the data source. The data source will only give you a certain section of the data of the business object. Right. It will return only certain instances because the data source will have filters associated with it. Now let's take an example. Now all workers versus all active and terminated workers versus all active employees. Okay. Data sources are Workday delivered. Data sources will be given by Workday. So all workers. What does the name suggest? All workers. What is the population? And it just means, and the employees. Yeah, continue workers. And the employees. Data employees. Data employees, future data employees. Very good point. So future data employees will also be part of all workers. What about terminated employees? Terminated workers. What about terminated workers? Will they be included? Some get them. No. We're not. All workers. Okay. Right. If future data employees, future data workers, are there, terminated will also be there as part of all workers. Okay. All workers means everything. All the worker records that you have. So that is based on the business object for the worker. Right. Now you have another data source. Again based on the same business object, that is, worker, all active and terminated workers. Now, what does this tell you, all active and terminated workers? What is the difference between all workers and all active and terminated workers? All active and terminated are the list of workers who are active and the ones which have been terminated. Whereas also workers. All workers also includes that active and terminated, but not the future. Not the future data. So in all workers you have future data workers as well, but in active and terminated workers. You do not have the future data workers, the future hires. So if you are creating a report on existing workers and terminated workers, which of the data sources would you choose? All workers versus active and terminated workers. Which one would you choose? Active and terminated. Yes, you may choose all workers as well, right? You may choose all workers, but it returns a wider population, and then you have to filter them out. Right. Why do that? If you have all active and terminated workers, use them. Isn't it? Then comes all active employees. That's another one which is again based on the worker business object. Now, what is the difference between all active and terminated workers versus all active employees? No. Not the limited and the future. Not the limited and the future. Only active. Only active. Only active. But notice the difference in the terminology. One says active and terminated workers. The other one says active employees. What is the difference? So the all active employees will have only the employees and not the contingent workers. Correct. Correct. So all active employees will have the active employees, not the contingent workers. It is an even smaller set, isn't it? So which one? If between these three, all workers, all active terminated workers,